Episode 1. The Beginning of Us. Jin and Jitha. Jin never believed in love at first sight. He thought it was one of those things people said to make movies more interesting, or to give poetry some weight. Love to him had always been something you build, like a house, brick by brick, slow, intentional, real. That belief held firm, until he saw Jitha. It was a rainy Tuesday, not the dramatic movie-style thunderstorm rain, but the gentle kind that makes you miss people you haven't even met yet. Jin had taken shelter under the small awning of a street-side cafe, watching drops race each other down the glass. He was nursing a coffee that had gone cold and reading a book he wasn't really into when she walked in. No umbrella, no rush. Just grace. She wasn't doing anything dramatic, no slow-motion entrance or dramatic hair flip. She simply walked up to the counter, looked at the chalkboard menu, and ordered a chai latte, like she did it every Tuesday of her life. But something shifted in the air. Jin didn't realize he was staring until she turned around and caught him mid-glance. Normally, he'd look away, pretend he was thinking deeply about something else. But for some reason, he didn't. He just smiled, and she smiled back. That moment could have ended there. A polite, fleeting exchange between two strangers who'd never cross paths again. But fate, as it often does when it's feeling romantic, had other plans. The cafe was small, and it was packed. Only one table had space, the one Jin was occupying. And before she could ask, Jin stood up and gestured. "Want to share? It's either this or chai in the rain." She laughed softly. "Thanks. I'll take this over soggy shoes." And just like that, two strangers sat across from each other, sipping warm drinks, while outside, the city soaked in silence. Jin found out her name was Jitha. She worked nearby as a freelance designer and had a soft spot for hand-drawn typography. She spoke with intention, like her words were carefully folded before being sent out. Jin told her he was a writer, or trying to be one. They found they both loved rainy days, disliked pineapple on pizza, and had an unreasonable attachment to vintage film cameras. The conversation was light, but the kind that makes time disappear. Neither of them noticed how long they had been sitting there until the rain stopped and the sun peeked through the clouds like a curtain being pulled back. "I should probably get going," she said, wrapping her hands around the now empty cup. Jin nodded, not wanting the moment to end. "Same." They walked out together, their steps slow, like neither wanted to walk away just yet. At the corner, where they'd have to part ways, Jin hesitated. "Hey, do you want to maybe do this again sometime? Not the rain, the coffee, the conversation." Jitha smiled, a soft, genuine one that reached her eyes. "Yeah, I'd like that." She handed him her number, written on a napkin, complete with a tiny doodle of a coffee cup. "Text me. Just not a hey guy. Be interesting." Jin grinned. Challenge accepted. That night, Jin stared at the napkin for a long time. He wasn't usually the type to overthink texts, but this felt different. She felt different. He finally sent, "If I could write a story about today, it would start with rain and end with hope." Cheesy, maybe, but it was honest. A few minutes later, his phone lit up. "Sounds like the kind of story I'd want to be part of." Over the next few weeks, their conversations became longer, their texts funnier, deeper, more honest. They talked about childhood dreams, irrational fears, and the weird ways they liked their toast. They met up again, this time at a small bookstore cafe Jitha had recommended, then again and again. Jin started writing more, inspired by her energy. She'd doodle little drawings based on his stories, sending him photos with captions like, This is how I imagine your main character's cat. There was no official first date declared. It just happened, organically, like they were turning the pages of a book already written, just waiting to be read. One evening, sitting on a park bench, watching the sky turn that sleepy shade of orange, Jitha turned to Jin and asked, "Do you think things happen for a reason?" He thought about it. "I think some things do, but some things we make happen. Like the universe might throw people into our path, but it's up to us to slow down and say hello." She nodded, leaning into his shoulder. "I'm glad you said hello." Jin smiled, wrapping his arm around her. "Me too." They weren't in love yet. Not quite. But they were getting there, in that soft, slow, undeniable kind of way. Like a song building to a crescendo. Like rain easing into a river. Like two hearts slowly learning the rhythm of the other. And maybe Jin was wrong after all. Maybe love at first sight didn't always hit like a lightning bolt. Maybe it arrived like that gentle rain, unassuming, steady, and impossible to ignore once it starts falling. All he knew was, this felt like the start of something real. And the best stories, after all, start that way.